myself and keeping my bed, but I've come through scared. Now you left me, there's no healing the wound.
Freddie Mercury died on November 24th, 1991, just 24 hours after his public statement. He was only 45 years old, and that single event, that one devastating Sunday afternoon in Kensington, London, set in motion something that the remaining members of Queen have spent the last 3 decades trying to outrun. This is not just a story of a rock star who died too young. This is a story of how one of the greatest bands in the history of recorded music slowly came apart, fractured by loss, by ego, by money, by nostalgia, and by the relentless, uncomfortable question that nobody in that band has ever been able to answer with complete honesty. Can Queen exist without Freddie Mercury? Let us start at the beginning of the end. By the late 1980s, Queen was already showing signs of internal strain. According to Brian May's own interviews with the BBC and with Rolling Stone magazine, the band's creative dynamic had shifted significantly. Freddie Mercury was spending increasing amounts of time pursuing solo projects, most notably his work with Michael Jackson on tracks that were never officially released and his operatic collaborations in Europe. John Deacon had become increasingly withdrawn from the spotlight. Roger Taylor and Brian May were also releasing solo material. The 4 men who had once been described by their manager Jim Beach as almost telepathically connected in the studio were, by 1989 and 1990, working in sessions that were more fragmented, more structured around individual contributions rather than collective energy. What the public did not know during this period was that Freddie Mercury had been living with here for years. According to Jim Hutton, Mercury's partner, in his memoir titled Mercury and Me, Freddie had been diagnosed sometime in the mid-1980s, though the exact date remains disputed. The band knew. According to Brian May in multiple documented interviews, the 3 remaining members were aware of Freddie's illness and made a collective, unspoken decision to keep recording, to keep working, to give their singer something to hold on to. The result was the album Innuendo, released in February 1991, 9 months before Mercury's death. It was a haunting, operatic, lyrically direct record, one that critics and fans would later recognize as Freddie Mercury's farewell letter to the world, composed and delivered in real time. The title track, Innuendo, runs for over 6 minutes. It opens with a flamenco guitar passage performed by Steve Howard, a deliberate nod to Queen's always theatrical, always referential approach to music. According to a 1991 press release from Parlophone Records at the time of the album's release, Queen described Innuendo as a journey through many moods and styles. That was the public framing. The private truth, visible in the lyrics and in the video, where animated sequences showed a puppet version of Freddie breaking free of his strings, was something far more personal. Mercury was saying goodbye. The song reached #1 in the United Kingdom. It was the first time Queen had topped the UK chart since Innuendo itself marked a new era, but it was an era with a clock running out. The second title from this period that demands attention is A Show Must Go On, the closing track on Innuendo and arguably the most emotionally devastating song in Queen catalog. According to Brian May in an interview with the BBC conducted years after Freddie's death, May wrote the song after seeing the physical deterioration of his bandmate and wondering whether Mercury would even be physically capable of recording it. Freddie, by that point, was extremely ill. May recalled asking whether Freddie could do it, and Mercury reportedly responded by downing a measure of vodka, walking into the recording booth, and delivering the vocal in a single take. Whether that story has been slightly mythologized over time is impossible to say with certainty, but the vocal itself is undeniable evidence of something extraordinary, a man summoning resources he should not have had to perform a song about summoning resources you should not have. The lyrics, written primarily by May, are openly about performing in the face of death. Lines about an empty stage and a heart full of broken dreams are not metaphor. They are documentation. The Show Must Go On was released as a single in October 1991, 1 month before Freddie Mercury died. It charted across Europe. It played on radio stations across the world. And then, on November 23, 1991, Freddie Mercury issued a brief public statement through his publicist Roxy Mead confirming what tabloids had been speculating for months, that he had AIDS. He asked for privacy. He asked for compassion. He thanked his fans. 24 hours later, he was gone. The official cause of death was bronchopneumonia, a complication of AIDS. The third title that defines this period of Queen's story is Made in Heaven, the album released in 1995, 4 years after Mercury's death. This record is perhaps the most unusual in the entire Queen catalog because it was assembled largely from vocal fragments and instrumentals that Freddie had recorded in the final months of his life. According to the band's own liner notes and subsequent interviews given to publications including Q Magazine and Classic Rock, Brian May, Roger Taylor, and John Deacon spent years after Mercury's death working through recordings Freddie had left behind, building tracks around his voice, trying to honor what he had started without pretending to finish it on his behalf. The result was an album that sounds like grief compressed into music. Made in Heaven debuted at #1 in the United Kingdom and across much of Europe. It was a commercial success. It was also, and this is important, the last album that John Deacon would ever participate in making. Deacon's departure from Queen is one of the more quietly significant events in the story of the band's decline. He did not make a dramatic announcement. He did not give interviews explaining his reasoning. According to statements made by Brian May to Classic Rock magazine over the years, Deacon simply withdrew. He attended the tribute concert for Freddie at Wembley Stadium in April 1992, which drew an audience of approximately 72,000 people according to the event's official records, and featured performances from David Bowie, Elton John, George Michael, Guns N' Roses, Metallica, and dozens of others. He played at a handful of other Queen-related events in the years immediately following Freddie's death. And then, gradually, he stopped. By the late 1990s, Deacon had effectively retired from the music industry entirely. He has not performed publicly in decades. He has declined all interviews. He is, by every available account, a private man who decided that Queen without Freddie Mercury was not something he wished to be part of. That decision, quiet, firm, and total, left May and Taylor in an interesting position. They were 2/3 of a band without a bassist and without a singer, holding the brand name, the catalog, the legacy, and the question of what to do next. The fourth title that belongs in this conversation is not an album. It is a live show. It is the ongoing touring operation known as Queen plus Paul Rodgers, which ran from 2004 to 2009, and the later iteration known as Queen plus Adam Lambert, which began in 2012 and continues to this day as of this writing. According to press materials issued by Queen Productions Limited at the time of the Paul Rodgers collaboration, the choice of Rodgers, former frontman of Free and Bad Company, and widely regarded as one of the finest rock vocalists of his generation, was positioned not as a replacement for Mercury but as a musical partnership. The band was careful publicly never to describe Rodgers as a new singer for Queen. The reviews, however, were mixed. Writing in The Guardian in 2005, critic Alexis Petridis noted that the show was proficient, but that something fundamental was missing, that the theatrical, almost operatic quality that Mercury brought to the material could not simply be substituted. Rodgers himself, in interviews with Classic Rock magazine, acknowledged the difficulty of the situation, noting that he had no intention of impersonating Freddie Mercury and that he was simply doing what he did. The collaboration eventually ended quietly in 2009. The Adam Lambert era, which began after Lambert's appearance on American Idol, drew attention to his extraordinary vocal range, has been more commercially successful and more visually aligned with what Queen in the Mercury era looked like. Lambert does not sound like Freddie Mercury, but he commands a stage in a way that few contemporary rock singers do, and his willingness to engage with the theatricality of Queen's material, the costumes, the performance, the sheer scale of it, has made the Queen plus Adam Lambert touring operation one of the highest grossing live acts in the world according to Billboard's annual touring charts for multiple years running. But here is the thing that the documentary record makes clear, and that the band's own members have acknowledged in various ways over the years. Queen without Freddie Mercury is a tribute act to itself. It is a very good tribute act. It is, in some cases, a technically superior tribute act to most tribute acts. But the original engine of Queen, that volatile, competitive, brilliantly dysfunctional creative partnership between four men who trusted each other enough to fight constantly and still make records together, died on November 24, 1991, in a house on Garden Lodge in Kensington. The band's decline is not a simple story of commercial failure. It is a story about what happens when the irreplaceable element of something is removed and the surrounding structure continues to exist. Queen still sells out stadiums. Queen still generates revenue in the hundreds of millions. Queen still wins polls about the greatest live acts in rock history. But the Queen that recorded Bohemian Rhapsody, that played Live Aid in 1985 in what is widely cited by music journalists and fellow performers as the single greatest live performance in rock history, that made Innuendo and The Show Must Go On in full knowledge of what was coming, that Queen is gone. It ended with a brief statement through a publicist on a grey November day in London in 1991. According to Brian May, in an interview with Howard Stern in 2021 marking the 30th anniversary of Mercury's death, the loss is never fully resolved. It does not resolve. You learn to carry it. You learn to do the work. But the hole does not close. The show must go on. It does, but it is a different show.